Good evening and welcome to another fun-packed question and answer here on Joseph and the Amazing All-Star Cast Concert. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the weather this weekend. Hope you've been abiding by the rules, staying safe, staying distance. That's what we've. I mean, you're all law-abiding people, aren't you? Yeah. Well, good evening and welcome. I'm Adam Smith, and I'm here tonight to ask some amazing questions that you guys have been sending in to the legend that is Jess Conrad OBE. Now, we've interviewed many people in connection with Joseph throughout this whole, from the build up to when we will be going and broadcasting it online. And we've had many tales, we've had many stories, many mishaps, but I think this interview is going to be one of the most interesting ones I've ever done. This guy has had a career that spans decades, from the likes of movies in the 50s and 60s to playing in Joseph. Jesse's no stranger to the stage, and then, of course, going on to become OBE for charitable services. So let's get straight into it then tonight on Joseph's question and answer. Let's bring in Jess Conrad OBE. Jess, good evening, Jess. How are you? There we go. I'm loving the frame.
There we are, Jess for You, my latest album. Ding, ding, ding. It's great. I love your curtains, dear.
Thank you very much. Blinds. I was going to show you the garden, but
in my days they were called curtains.
Window curtains.
They're lovely blinds. They are lovely blinds.
Thank you very much.
I'm thrilled to be here, Adam, but at my age, I'm thrilled to be anywhere. But being interviewed by such a young performer, that's great.
Really well, it is an honour to be speaking to you. We spoke briefly before the interview started. I was telling you that part of my childhood was brought up around my parents, especially my mother, who was big fans of Cliff Richard, Billy Fury, and yourself. She was a big fan. I believe she had a picture of you on her wall, so yes. She's very jealous.
I still have.
I believe it. So how are you keeping, Jess, throughout this whole lockdown? I can see that you're enjoying the garden and the amazing shed that you're in.
Lockdown's been pretty well. I played a bit of golf. I've shaved my head because I wasn't working. My daughter does my hair, and I went there and she's just shaved it all off. And it looks as if, because she said you've got no more concerts, or your concerts have been cancelled, everything's been cancelled. So yeah, the same as everybody else. I mean, it's I'm old enough to remember the Second World War, and I remember how it was then. It was a very strange feeling, and it's pretty the same now. But we just have to get through it. We're all in it together, and we've got to get through it. Obviously our business is in a terrible state because we're all self-employed and none of us can work. And then when things go back to when they go back, I think I want to call my concerts I'm Still Standing. It's whether they're going to take seats out of the theatre so that the distance and all that. So anyway, but don't let's worry about that. I mean, I was thrilled to be the original Joseph, the original touring Joseph. I've been doing lots of productions of it before because it was very, very popular back there in the 70s. And instead of doing pantomime, some people put Joseph on instead. And I remember doing a production of Joseph at the Theatre Royal in Brighton, and then doing another one at Swindon, and then doing another one at Norwich. So I've done lots of productions before I got into the touring production, which was the big one. And of course, Bill, I went to see Bill Kenwright, the wonderful producer. Bill Kenwright came to see me in a Joseph, and the man was putting it on. I can't remember his name now. He was having such a bad time he couldn't even afford the children. Can you imagine Joseph without children? I mean, they must have cost about £5 each. And God knows how he managed to pay me. Anyway, Bill did come along and see the show and bought the show and said, Jess, it's yours. There, you do what you like with it, cast it, have all your friends in it. And that's what I did. And we had a wonderful time. All the brothers were great friends. I was called the General, and my number one dressing room was headquarters, and they all had names. Because I can't remember people's names, so I always gave them names, and I had there's some of them here. John Melvin, who was Benjamin for a long time. He was called the Moth, and I called him the Moth because moths like spotlights, don't they? They always get into the light.
They do, yeah.
Because he was Benjamin, my younger brother. He was always there next to me because he could get into the spotlight, and we thought it was great fun. Keith Heyman, who's now Cliff Richard's MD, he was our MD. He was called the Road Runner because he ran everywhere. Dave Mabry played Pharaoh. We called him the Fonz because he looked more like the Fonz than Pharaoh. Mickey Driver was Derek Connell was Jeeves. The choreographer, Henry Metcalf, was Spider-Man because he was all over the place. And Peter Lawrence was great. Jacob was Matron. And so it goes on and on and on. And what we did was we toured it, and it was really a fantastic experience. All the boys, all my brothers had different kind of jobs socially for me. When I arrived on a Monday, one had the papers out to tell me what film to go and see, and I used to go to the cinema on Thursday afternoons. Another brother found out which gym I was going to because I was very fit, and he found the gym I went to would go to, and another brother found out what cinema I'd go to, so it was all right, so I could see which film I fancied. And then one of the important brothers was the one who went to find a restaurant so that we could all eat together on a Friday evening. So we were all a great team. We even had our own newspaper that was written by one of the things. We had our own football team, the Dreamcoats, five-a-side. We played for charity all over the country. So it was a great experience, and I took it to Walter.
Is that actually water, Jess? Are you telling us the truth?
We took it and I brought it into the West End. It wasn't going to go into the West End, but it was so popular. We took it into Sadler's Wells, a big, lovely theatre there, and the Vaudeville Theatre in the Haymarket. So we really had a fantastic time. Brought it into the West End twice, and then we finished up, of course, in Blackpool, which is the Vegas of England. It was such to be a hit there, and they kept extending the run because it was such a success. And it's probably the happiest time of my life because I played Jesus in Godspell and Pip in Great Expectations, the musical, and what was the other one? Not the Phantom, the other one. Anyway, all the musicals I've done. And then when after Jesus in Godspell, which is you're crucified on that thing at the end on the fence. It was a very hard, difficult part. And when I got Joseph, because of the success of that, it was like a walk in the park. It was so much easier, Joseph. But of course, 2 shows a day and hard. I always wanted a good body, like not like a weightlifter's body, but like early Burt Lancaster. I didn't like English actors because they couldn't take their shirts off. So one of my motivating forces when I became an actor was that apart from talent, I wanted to have a good body. And so I worked on my body, and boy, did it work in Joseph. Because and then in being Joseph, of course, I had the fans from the 60s, the mothers, and then they brought their daughters in, and they became like new fans. So it was really fantastic.
Wow, it just sounds amazing, Jess. The more you talk about it, it just shines a light on the beginning of Joseph, which is why we are here for this amazing concert. So are you happy for me to get straight into these questions, Jess, that all your fans and followers have put forward?
Yeah. Yes, sure, absolutely. But I've got a funny story, but if we have time, I'll tell it. If we haven't, it was also my idea to have a girl narrator. Anyway, go on. Let's go.
We will make time for your stories, Jess. Don't you worry. Everybody wants to hear them. We'll get straight into the question. This one's from Jordan Doolan. Hi there, Jess. Hope you are well. First of all, I'm honoured that you are taking part in our Joseph concert. You were the very first Joseph I saw in Scotland. And now I've seen the show approximately 1,000 times whilst it's on tour. Not a question as much, but I'd like to say an enormous thank you from me for taking part in the All-Star concert. Hope you're keeping well and safe. Take care. Love from Jordan. So it must be great to hear stuff like that. And also the fact that you were the influence to somebody to create this 40, 50 years on.
Yeah. Oh, pardon, stop it. Yeah, I love the thing that I didn't like about Scotland is because I always got home weekends, and that meant either driving or getting the sausage in the morning. We called it the flying sausage, the first plane out, or the last train. And I remember I was in Edinburgh, and I had to get the last train, and it was 15 minutes after the curtain came down. And if you remember Edinburgh, I think it's Edinburgh, but it's a long platform, and I had a taxi waiting for me in not the stage door, because that's where everybody wanted my autograph, but at the front door. And I had my clothes. I'm not even in the dressing room. I changed in the corridor, and I went through the theatre as the people were going out. And I managed to get out. And then getting into the taxi, they wanted my autograph, and I was gritting my teeth. I had to get that train, and I got onto the thing, and I'm running, and it was just such a long, and I finally got into the funny little carriage, with those little beds in, and I looked in the mirror, and it was cracked. It was rather like a film. It was a cracked mirror, and I still had my Joseph makeup on, and I thought, this is so sad, like this poor actor, with a face running to get the train, and not signing autographs. All night long, I wanted them to love me, and then I couldn't sign their autographs because I had to get home to the wife and the family. Oh, it was a terrible moment, but I shall never forget it. Looking into that little mirror that happened to be cracked and old and weary, Oh, anyway, it's great, and I have lots of fans in Scotland, and I love going up there. Thank you very much for the call.
There you go, Jordan. There's yours. We'll get on to Diane Kitsey now. I only saw Jason Donovan in the show. Brilliant production. And JessConrad.com. Jess is an acquaintance. I like to think he's a friend now. Has he any plans to undertake any more film, stage, screen roles, please? That's from Diane Kitsey.
Well, yes, of course. I've made lots of films, about 20. If you go onto my website, there's a whole list of my films. Thank God for Talking Pictures, because that's where you see Jess a lot. And I was a film extra for a long time. And the last film extra part I did was a film called Serious Charge that starred Cliff Richard. And we met there, Cliff and I. And this was my last film as a film extra, because I decided that I too wanted to be an actor like everybody else. So that was my last film. Then I went into rep for 2 years and understudied in the West End for a long time. So we became friends, Cliff and I, and he sang that song, and I had a great scene in it. And Andrew Ray was a young star, acting star, but he was very sort of straight-laced, and he couldn't jive. And I had to lay on the floor on one shot and move his legs. I laid on the floor so they couldn't see me, and I moved his legs. So it looked as if he was moving. But Cliff and I became great friends, and we've been friends ever since that time. And The Boys is probably one of my big hit movies, The Boys, about the boys in the West End. And that was pretty much what I was like then. I even was ahead with my fashion, because although the Teddy Boys were there, by the time we made the film, the Italian style came in, shorter jackets and little tight collars. And of course, I am a great man for the way I look and the way I wear my suits and things. So I wore a different suit than everybody else, and it was almost white. So it was a showstopper, and I was very pleased with the performance. It was directed by Sidney Furie, who went off to America, Hollywood, and directed Marlon Brando and 2 or 3 pictures there. So we were in good hands. And I've made lots of pictures, films, and I don't do pantomime anymore, because all my life I played Prince Charming. Now I play Cinderella's father. So
that's a change, that, isn't it?
So I thought, no, I don't think I do that. But I've done about 50, 40 pantos. I played the villain a lot too. I was a very good villain, played him very sort of, very vain, and the kids hated me for my vanity. And I still use my vanity, but it is a joke, and I hope that my fans and the public realise that it really is a joke. It's sort of a sort of touch of Roger Moore's and Liberace. We send ourselves up. So thank you. Who was that from?
That was Diane Kitsey.
Oh, she's wonderful. Yeah, she's a great fan of mine, and I love her very much. We know one another socially, so it's great. God bless you, darling. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm loving chatting to you because I'm hearing so many names and your acquaintances. You know, Cliff Richard, who everybody knows, Marlon Brando. You know, you've done all that at an early age. Where you are now, you've done Panto, you've done Joseph. Would you ever do? I know you've done the ITV show a few years back as well for the Vegas thing. Would you do any more TV or film if you were given that opportunity?
Oh, absolutely, yes, yes. Yes, all actors wait for the phone to ring. I need another film. Yeah, I do. The trouble is when you do something like Last Laugh in Vegas, you think that see, I'd be ideal for the one that's on now, wouldn't I? The one in India. What do you call that one? Marigold Hotel.
Yes.
Are you listening, Adam?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. I
Yes,
wasn't going to answer because I didn't know what it was.
Okay, so there is a film, there is a TV show, Adam, called Marigold Hotel, and
Heard of it.
I would be ideal for that because I'm now, how old am I? 21. That's my publicity agent. What am I now? I'm 84, but I can still look in the mirror without being disappointed. But there are, you know, yes, I'm waiting for the right part to come up, and I'd like to do more films. Yep, the last film I did was oh yes, Batman. I did Batman. Oh yeah, that's an interesting story. They were looking for somebody in England to play Adam Ward, the original Batman, and they couldn't find anybody that looks like him. So my agent sent a picture of me to them, and I looked at his picture and I copied his picture. It's a picture, we haven't got it here, and they saw it and they booked me straight away. Wow. He died of leukemia when he was 60, and and when he was 80. I play him from 60 to 80. He got leukemia when he was 80, and he died within 2 months. But it was a great part for me to play because, you know, when you play famous people, I just love it. You know, the fact that I've played Jesus, you know, I played Joseph, and I played all these iconic things. I've even played Jess Conrad, and that's a difficult part to play.
He's a legend. He's hard to play that one.
He's a culling bug. Yes, so yeah, so that was good. The Adam West, and that'll be out soon on Channel 5. It's called The Autopsy of Adam West, and I've done Pointless recently, and When Pop Stars Go Terribly Wrong. So I'm doing quite a bit of television, but yes, I do need another film. It's quite right. Yes. Yes,
we will make it happen, Jess. I'm sure people watching this will be like, he needs to be in a film. We will definitely look forward to that.
Do you think a lot of film producers will be watching this?
I hope so. I mean, we both want a career back off this, Jess. So fingers crossed.
Adam, of course, dear boy. Don't worry.
Another question from our creative team. What were your first thoughts about Joseph as a musical? Did you ever think it would be the penultimate show of all time? And also, a little birdie told us Joan Heel tried to steal your limelight. What did they actually do? And we also believe you have a wonderful story to tell her that includes Freddie Starr, the late great Freddie Starr.
Yeah, well, I have all those things. When I finished playing Jesus in Godspell, and I did Joseph, I thought it was a walk in the park. It was so easy to not easy to play. I don't mean that. But Godspell was a hell of a role to play. You know, it was. It was. Joseph was lovely, you know, and it was just lovely. But Jesus in Godspell was another book altogether. Yes, lots of funny stories. As I say, all the brothers were like a group. I was the general. I went to Blackpool, the opera house there, and it was such a success. It went on forever, kept going longer and longer and longer. I had the freedom of the city. I could go to restaurants, and the manager would pick up the bill. If you come in again, Jess, Mr. Conrad, you know, we'll do the same. I had all free rides on all the things there when my family came up and I did lots of productions before I worked with Bill Conrad on the first national tour. And one I did was a wonderful production in Norwich, Theatre Royal Norwich. I'd already done Swindon and Theatre Royal Brighton. Now I'm in Norwich, and kind of a special guest was Joan Hill. She was I probably remember her more than anybody else watching this show, but somebody, I mean, she was a big West End star, a bit past the sell by date. I can't hold that against her. And the old pros always try and take the eye line away from the actors they're playing with. Very difficult with them. Very difficult with me because I've been in the business a long time. I was in repertory for 2 years. I understudied people in the West End, and then I became a star myself. So I knew my way around the block. Anyway, so she was trying all things, and she finally come onto this thing that would pretty much stop the show. That meant that her right boob came out. The whole thing came out. You know, the nose, all came out, and got a big laugh. And some, you know, and of course the producer, the theatre manager, no, you can't do that. But every night it came out, you know, just to take the sight line off of Jess. But she was a wonderful woman, and old pros are up to all those tricks. I go to Belfast, and I'm looking in the mirror. The first show, the first Monday, getting myself ready to go. I used to go in early, make sure my sight lines are okay. Wherever I was on stage, the audience could see me, I could see them. I did the walk across, because One More Angel in Heaven, which I put in with me when I got off the back. I'd stopped the show with that. And then I had the Pharaoh. After the Pharaoh number, I got incredible applause. I developed something where he finishes, he gets his big round of applause, and I'm absolutely gone because I've never heard rock and roll before, Joseph, and I'm boogieing, I'm dancing, I'm jiving, and I'm in my own little world. And all of a sudden, I realise that everybody's looking at me. The audience are looking at me. Pharaoh's looking at me, and I just stop, and I say, I was gone, really gone, man. But I'm back now. It was all a bit. Who's to wear that cap? You know. Betty.
Michael Crawford.
Yeah, it's all a bit Michael Crawford. I did the voice, and it got another round of applause. That was something else I did there. So that was fantastic. So we go to Belfast, and Freddie Starr is my bathroom. I'm getting ready, and he's there. I said, Freddie, blah blah blah, and next door doing the show. So I said, yeah, I'm Joseph. And he said, so anyway, to cut a long story short, he wants a ticket to come and see the show. So I said, okay, leave it to me. So I went to the company manager and I said, Freddie Starr, can I got a comp for him? And he fixed me up with a comp. So don't worry, Mr. Conrad. Went to the manager of the theatre, and I wanted a comp for Mr. Conrad, for Freddie Starr. And he said, I'd love to do anything for Jess. Absolutely. And Freddie Starr, wow. But I'm afraid we're full. The place is packed. It was a matinee, packed. And of course, it was packed every show, especially in Belfast. I went absolutely berserk, to see a big show in Belfast. And so he said, look, so I went back to the company manager. Look, what am I going to do? He's my best mate, don't worry, Jess, don't worry. Because Bill Conrad said, whatever Jess wants, Jess gets. So he said, well, the only thing I can suggest is let him stand backstage. He said, against the wall, stand backstage. So I just look, I said, I can't get you a seat, but you can stand backstage. I'll do that then. So he's backstage, standing against the wall. Close every door to me. That's how far we've got. And halfway through Close Every Door to Me. I've seen many Josephs do this, but none of them got what I got, which was a standing ovation halfway through the song. I think it was down to all sorts of elements. Yes, I had a good body. Yes, it was beautifully choreographed by Henry Metcalf, and it was all choreographed. And I'm there in my in handcuffs, and you probably got the picture there somewhere. And I'm climbing up this imaginary wall, close every door to me, and I get to the certain, and I know when I actually stand up, I know then the whole of the audience are going to give me a standing ovation. I've never happened before. And at that same point, I heard everybody in the theatre laugh, and I thought, my standing ovation. No, that's a lot. They're laughing, and I was completely. Well, I didn't know what to do. I mean, my eyes must have been spinning, because instead of clapping and enjoying my technical way I did the song and getting away with it, how well I'm playing the character, they're laughing at a most serious part. I turn left. Now, first of all, there's a staircase down, and the cell is just a big spotlight. And there I am on stage, kneeling down. I turn to my left, and there is Freddie, bollock naked, with Hitler shorts on with swastikas. The MD has seen a ghost. His eyes are. He stopped the band. His eyes. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know whether he's Arthur or Martha. He just doesn't know what. He's looking at me. He doesn't know what to do. But what's happened is the band has stopped, and that doesn't happen in musicals unless it's directed that way. The show stopped, and I look at Freddie, and I don't know what to say. And Freddie says to me, I'm your best friend. I've come to help you. I'm your best friend. I've come to help you. So anyway,
I'm a great story with Freddie Starr.
He finally walks off, looking at the audience, saying, "I'm Freddie Starr. I'm in a show next door. Seats at all prices."
I think that's kind of the reason that Freddie Starr was Freddie Starr and was so popular and so funny, is that he was just so cheeky.
Crazy man, my best mate. I'm at the Palladium, Jess. He said, come and see me at the Palladium. So I go and see him at the Palladium, and I'm backstage with him, resting him. Like, he said, I'm a bit nervous. He said, come up with me, till I get on. I said, yeah, sure, Freddie. So we go up. He's with his manager, driver, whatever. And between them, they push me. They introduce Freddie Starr, and they push me on. This is his big break, and he pushes Jess Conrad on. So once I hit the spotlights, I do a bit of shtick, and get a couple of laughs. He soon comes on, drags me off. They're the sort of things he does.
He was an absolute legend, and he's truly missed in the entertainment industry for sure. Right, next question for Laura D. Cooper. How did you first become involved with the arts and entertainment industry? Was there anyone who inspired you? And secondly, for you personally, what was it like to be involved in the enrichment of the 60s era? My mum tells me wonderful stories of the Beatles concert, Cliff Richard, Cilla Black, and she's of the generation who wishes she would have been a teenager in the 60s. So first up, what was it like getting involved in the arts and entertainment industry, and who inspired you, if anybody?
Well, no. I mean, my age group, everybody will tell you who inspired them. It's always the same. It's acting. It's James Dean or Marlon Brando. Singing, it's Elvis.
Yes.
Full stop. That it is. When I became a pop star, whenever Elvis opened in a new film at Leicester Square in the West End, you would be sure that the 2:30 performance would have Adam Faith, Cliff, Marty Wilde, all the boys in watching Elvis's new film, because whatever he sung in that film is what we would be singing that year. We would open our acts with that same number. It was all, whatever Elvis does, we do. It's good enough for Elvis. In fact, when I was offered "Oh Calcutta," it was a big show. You know, they don't tell you to the end of the interview that you know you've got to be bollock naked at some point. Obviously, I turned it
Happens
down.
a lot to you, this, doesn't it?
But I always used to think to myself, would Elvis do it? And they thought, no, Elvis wouldn't do it. So I wouldn't do it. Lots of shows I turned down. And I always thought of Elvis as like, you know, would he do it? No, he wouldn't. So I won't do it. Dramatic parts, would do it. Yes, he would do it. So I do things like that. So I was a film extra, as I was telling you. I got into the business because I met a film extra in a cafe in the West End, a cafe that I used to sit there with Terry Stamp and the boys of that era, Michael Caine. Michael Caine always had a good-looking girl with him. He was, you know, and he wasn't a great-looking fella. I mean, you know, I was much better looking, but he was better at pulling birds even than I was.
So modest. You're so modest, Jess.
He always had so many good-looking birds with him. So he told me where to go, and I went around to see this lady, and where you become a film extra or anything to be in movies. And they asked you silly things. I mean, in those days, you know, people didn't have swimsuits, people didn't have a jacket and things. So they started off like, have you got a swimsuit? Yes, because you have to wear all your own clothes when you go there. Have you got a pair of grey trousers? Have you got this? Have you got that? You know, and the killer question is, do you have a dinner jacket? Because nobody has a dinner jacket, you know, nobody. And then she can say, no, I'm afraid you have to have a dinner jacket. And she's waited, although I think she wanted me in because she, you know, I was being very thin to her, and I was, you know, and she was smiling a lot. So I was, anyway, then she said, do you have a dinner jacket? And I said, yes, because my father was a mason and used to take me and my mum to the ladies' night once a year. So he bought me a dinner jacket, you see. So I said yes. So I became a film extra, and my first film was with Kenneth Moore. And I went all the way through the film as a squaddy, and then I was a film extra about a year, 2 years, and then somebody came on and said a line. I said I can do that. I said no, it's a different union. That's equity. I said, well, what? He said, well, no, in equity, you have to have an equity card in those days. I said, how did you get an equity card to become an actor? Well, you have to go into rep. Now, what you earn in rep is the same as what you get a day as a film extra. But, and there's a lot of great-looking boys, film extras that never made it because they kept as film extras because the money was good and, you know, it was great camaraderie and stuff. But I went into rep for 6 months a week. I was in rep for about 2 years. Learning my trade, came back, and a big agent, Al Park in the West End, saw me in an off-Broadway show, not off-Broadway, but off the West End, I think somewhere in Ealing. And the woman there booked me and started looking after me and getting me started in films. And she got me a part playing a rock and roll star in the play of the week. Now, in those days, the play of the week was the only play you saw that week. There was the play of the week, the film of the week, and the London Palladium. None of these hundreds of channels. You know, there was one channel or two channels. And play of the week was the big thing everybody watched. And play of the week, I played a pop star as an actor. Jess Conrad, I played a pop star. And everybody saw it. All the kids saw it because they knew it was about a pop star. And that was the theme of the whole thing. And all the papers wrote about it. Every paper in England, I've got the front page of every. Who is Barney Day? Who is this new pop icon? Who is because the fans went crazy. So the Simon Cowell of that era was a man called Jack Good, and he was doing these shows. Oh boy! And I found out because I was very pushy in those. I wanted to get on, and I didn't want to be a pop star. And God, I couldn't think of anything like that. But I found out that he's rehearsing on Chiswick Green, a place in London called Chiswick. And there's a church there. And I went in there, and there was Jack Good. It was the Simon Cowell of that era. So you can imagine I'm walking in, there's Simon Cowell. I mean, he was that big. In fact, Jack Good was bigger. And there I saw Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran. Joe Brown was not a star then. He was in the band. And I walked in, and he went, he said, hello, because he had a sponsy voice. I said, I'm Jess Conrad. He said, I know you are. Everybody knows who you are. He said, what do you want? I said, well, I want to talk to you about something. So he actually said, okay, he said, and he said to everybody, okay, fellas, that's it. Tomorrow 10:30, and he broke the whole show. And they walked past me out of the door, out of the church. Eddie Cochran passed me. Gene Vincent walked past me going like this, you know. These wonderful icons walking past me. You know, I've never met a boy from Brixton. I'm seeing all these big rock and roll stars. Anyway, so they've gone. He says, "Can you sing?" How I can't sing. He said, "Well," I said, "Well, I thought perhaps I could introduce the acts. I thought I'd be a compere or something, just for one off." And he said, and he gave me a broomstick, and he said, "Sing this song." And he put a record on it, and I kind of sang to it. And he said, but I could move good. I was a great jive. I used to, au pair girls used to take me to Paris to win jiving competitions. So I was a great mover, great jiver. And I finished the song. He said, "Well, Jess," he said, "you can't sing a note." He said, "But I can make you a star a rock star by next weekend." I said, "If I can't sing, how can I become a rock star?" He said, "I want that face. That's all I want. I want that face." And they called me the face of 1960, the fabulous Jess Conrad. It was all to do with my looks, you know. And I went. The first thing on television, I did a duet with Billy Fury called "Chicka Chicka Honey," and we became great friends. And he told me a bit about being what it was like. And so I did my first show with him, and we had a drink afterwards, and he told me certain things. Got back to the hotel, and there was girls under my bed. There were girls in the wardrobe. Next day I said, "Billy," we didn't call them girls, then we called them chicks. I said, "Billy, you didn't tell me about in chicks." "Oh yeah, man." He said, "Yeah, the chicks. I forgot to tell you about the chicks." "Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of chicks about, man. Yeah, chicks. Yeah, there's chicks everywhere, man. Yeah, chicks." And that was my introduction to anyway. I was England's most popular singer. They gave me a recording contract, and so then I was trying to juggle acting with singing, and stupidly, because I was a young man, I thought that if Sinatra can do it, I can do it. But you can't do it. You can't really do two things, certainly not in that country. You remember in those days, an actor couldn't do an advert. A straight actor couldn't do a pantomime. So you're all in little blocks. Certain things you couldn't do. An actor couldn't sing. It was all like that. But that's how I started. Thank you for the question.
Brilliant question, Laura. Thank you very much.
What time?
Sean Moore. Sorry, Jess.
No, I just wondered what time Matron was coming.
Sean Moore, do you have any funny stories of mishaps during your run of Joseph?
Mishaps with Joseph. No, I don't think there are. I mean, Joseph was such a well-tuned show, and I mean, funny things happen because in one of the scenes, in pantomimes they use donkeys, and in one scene, Joseph comes to in that big scene where they come in. We started to use a donkey in that scene. Sometimes they gave me, in some productions, they gave me a little car to drive. Other productions, I had a motorbike, and I was nervous of the motorbike. And the opening night, I let the motorbike go, and it went in the orchestra pit, and I think it killed the EMT. I'm not sure. We never saw him again. So those things became kind of dangerous, but it was always a gimmick entrance there. So I'm in Blackpool, and they said that the donkey hadn't turned up because of the snow. And I was there with my Great Dane. My Great Dane was as big as a donkey. Huge dog, lovely dog. I loved him. Blue, his name was. And I said to Pharaoh, you come on with him this time. And so he did. And my wife was with me, and she was standing OP, not on the OP, opposite, OP side, on the right of the looking out on the right side of the stage. Jacob came on stage left with the dog. My big dog saw my wife and rushed towards her, dragging Jacob across the stage. Jacob's robe came up to show a very dodgy pair of underpants.
Okay.
Well, not, you know, modern underpants, and we're supposed to be
Yeah.
serious. Well, everybody died of laughter. It was a funny moment, but no, that was probably the one that stands out. I mean, beards fell off and things. I mean, Jacob has come on without putting his beard on and things like that. Yeah, I always
That's a
made
brilliant story.
what I always
Brilliant
made.
story.
The thing I forgot to tell you was I was into keeping fit, and Bill arranged for me to have two dressing rooms, one for my gym, and anybody could use it, but the problem nobody ever wanted to use it. Pharaoh did sometimes, so I had my own gym. So I used to have a big pump up before I met Pharaoh, because I had the break for the middle of the show, and then I didn't come on for 10 minutes. So I did about 40 pump up, 40 reps before I went on. So when I came on, I was really pumped up. And that was good. I forgot what I was going to tell you then. It was probably a story about that, and I can't remember it now.
Don't worry about it. If it comes to you, you butt in and you tell me later on, Jess, okay? Moving on to Scott Goss now. Have you discovered any new hobbies during lockdown?
Well, no. I mean, you know, I can, as I can say, I can still look in the mirror without being upset. No, dissatisfied.
Is that how you're spending your lockdown then, Jess? Just looking in the mirror? This is what keeps coming up.
I say, why doesn't the phone ring? I'm still a good-looking boy. There must be so much out there for me. No, I mean, actually, the truth is, that's all silly nonsense. The truth is, I must have, I don't know, 100 autobiographies here. And people give them to me, send them to me, all my great friends. And I've started reading them. And I've read Joe Brown. I've read Dinah Dawes, who wrote 3 books. Tony Curtis wrote 2 books. I've just been given Warren Beatty's book. And so I've got so many. Danny Kaye, I've just read. That's a great book, Danny Kaye. You have to be a certain age to remember Danny Kaye, but he was a tremendous entertainer. So I'm reading lots of books. They've lifted the ban on golf, so I'm playing golf on Monday. And so, yeah, I've not found it bad at all, because I'm very lucky. I bought a house with acres of land, so I've got plenty of, you know, things. I mean, I can walk up and down the garden instead of going out and get mixed up with the ordinaries. I mean, the people. So, I mean, no. We used to call people not in show business civilians in the old days. Now we call them ordinaries. It's nothing disrespectful. It's just that I know people have names for us, so we have names for them. Thank God they're around, otherwise we'd all be out of work.
Now, you talked about autobiographies. You've been reading them during lockdown in answer to Scott's question, but you've just finished writing your autobiography, haven't you, Jess?
No, I haven't. You said
you haven't.
You had that
nearly finished
with such authority, but no, I haven't. I'm writing it now.
All right. We'll do that again, shall we? Let's do this again. You've been in lockdown reading autobiographies. I hear you're writing yours, Jess.
No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Yes, good. Can you cut that and make it right? Just paste it together.
No, it's live. I just wanted to try be clever.
Live? Oh my God, this is live. You didn't tell me it was live. It's live. Anyway, I want to put makeup on. Yes, where was I? Yes, the book. Yes. What's it going to be called? The Boy from Brixton, I thought, because that's where I come from. I'm a bona fide Cockney, born in within the sound of Bow Bells. My mum was South London beauty queen. Her name was Linda, but she spelt it with a Y because she thought it looked posher. So these are all things in the book I'm doing. Yes, I'm thinking about them now. Yes. What can the title be? Who's a naughty boy then? The Boy from Brixton. We might call it Not Just a Pretty Face.
Blitz to Blitz.
Yes, I know the better one. From Blitz to Glitz.
I like that. Or we could say my autobiography, Looking Through My Mirror.
See, you're believing what I'm saying, you see.
No, I'm only messing with you, Jess. But we look forward to reading that.
a good title. A good title, yes.
I'll only take 10% if you use it. Don't worry. But as well as the autobiography, you've got a best of album.
I'll come up to Huddersfield and haunt you.
I've got plenty of mirrors. Tell me about your album.
Well, it's pure Jess Conrad. Everything I've ever recorded. It really is quite fantastic for this to happen so late in my career. Everything I've ever recorded. So it goes from when I first started singing. My father was a jazz pianist. He had a band called the Night Owls. So he was always singing at his piano. So, somebody singing in the house, I was quite used to. Never thought of singing myself. And when I became a pop star, because I looked like a pop star, that was before, you could look like Mick Jagger and still be a pop star. You had to be beautiful in my early days. So what was I saying? Pop star. What was it? What were you saying?
So the album, obviously, it's released now.
Yeah. So the album. Yeah. So when I started singing, the voice was pretty well, wasn't great. And there was a boy who I never knew this until just recently. What was his name? I told you the other week. Shaky Steve. Well, one of the boys, one of the lesser known pop boys, they used to ring him first to see whether he could do the top notes, and they rang him before so he could do the top notes, and they made sure that he was available before the star, me, and I never found this out until much later. Dickie Pride, his name was. Dickie Pride used to do Jess Conrad's high notes. Lovely fella, great singer. Dickie Pride was on all those early rock and roll shows. Then, of course, I started to sing more and more and more. And then, of course, you can't not have a voice and play Jesus in Godspell or Joseph. So by that time, I had found a voice. So this album has, you can hear through my career, my voice changing from, a poppy voice to a more mellow, or whatever you'd like to call it. And, well, all I can say is my voice improves through this album. So I call now Yesterday's in music.
That's brilliant. And you can buy it online, Amazon Music, all stores are selling it as well. Anywhere that sells albums have got it, and you can listen to it and download it. And of course, the title, you've missed the title of the album, Jess.
Jess for You.
Jess for You.
Do you like it?
Love it. It's brilliant.
I mean, you could call it Adam for Adam. No, you're Adam. Just Adam.
Just that. Adam and Eve it.
Adam and Eve it, yes.
That's fantastic.
Adam or leave it.
Adam or leave it. Most people would probably leave it. I can't sing, Jess, for anything. I'm a terrible singer. So yeah, it's available to download and buy. So please do. I'm sure it's a fantastic album. I'll be getting it for my mum. My mum's a big fan, so you've definitely got one sale off this interview from that. Right, Hayley Bordiak now for our next question. As well as Joseph back in the 70s, you appeared in Godspell. I have been in amateur production of this. By My Side is a song that moved me the most. Do you have a favourite song from the show Godspell?
Well, I like that song. That was a good song. Prepare the Lord. Yeah, that's a good. The big song I sang when I was crucified is a great song. Oh God, I'm bleeding. I mean, it's a long time ago now. It was a beautiful. They were wonderful songs, and the man who wrote it had this one incredible thing happen to him. He had a one-hit show in his life, and I'm just doing it here. Strangely enough, I've got the book. I've got a book here, and he had this one hit. There he is. Look at that. I don't know whether you can see that. Can you see that? A boy who likes Josie.
Other side. There we go.
The man in the middle is the man who wrote it, and that's me. And my understudy there is a boy called. He's played. He's, he's, he's played Joseph. He's a disc jockey. He's famous. He played Joseph. He'd be so upset that I can't remember his name. Mike Holloway. Mike Holloway. Yeah, that was Mike.
Yeah, we spoke to Mike the other day. He's on board with this.
Yeah, Mike Holloway. He understood me, Jesus in Godspell. We've been friends ever since. I appear on his radio show sometimes. He's a great guy. So yeah, it was. The songs were wonderful. None of which were easy to sing, but everybody sang along to them. When I was playing Jesus in Godspell, people came from all over the world to see it. I mean, it was just all over the world. They came from France, Germany, all over the place in Europe. I had fans everywhere. I took over from David Essex. He played it in the West End, and I played the first chorus. What's that funny noise?
Funny noise?
Okay, I got rats. Okay. Go away. Go away. Let the cat out.
There you go, Haley. There's the answer to your question. Alfie Robinson now. How did it feel to be a teen idol to so many of your fans? And did you ever receive any interesting gifts?
And interesting what?
Gifts. Gifts.
Oh, yes, gifts. I mean, jock straps, Kimbo. I mean, I had gold jock straps, sequin jock straps. It was all to do with that lower region. It was all to do with I had, they were the sort of things. Well, it was jock straps and teddy bears. It's a strange mixture, isn't it? But the fans were wonderful, yeah. I used to open shops. I started later, got to have, they come. People used to see me on the street and faint. So I was opening all these shops, and what happened was they broke the windows of the shops. The police were called, and then people stopped booking me to do that because they don't have Jess Conrad, they tear the place apart. The teenagers, the windows come down. It's terrible. And I remember this quite clearly, and it's quite sad. There was one concert I did where I used to worry about the words, and I shouldn't have worried because Bobby Rydell said to me, "When you go on stage, Jess," he said, "it's like an alarm clock going off." He closed the first half to me. He used to come over from America, and Brenda Lee came over. I even topped over my dearest friend Matt Monroe. That's how popular I was. It sounds silly now, but there I was. But this one particular concert, the police had to come in. They said, and then the management came in and said, "You've got to go downstairs because a lot of the girls have fainted and they've been trampled on, and go down under the stage where the musicians are. They're all there, and the ambulances are being called. This, that, and the other." And I went down, and they used to have in those days steel cones made of steel.
Yeah.
They used to squeeze them so much in their kind of excitement, I guess, that this girl had gone right through her hand. It's hard to I remember once getting out Wembley Pool, trying to get out. I mean, this is how things were different then. I had a date with Miss Kamei, who was a beautiful model, and I was going to meet her outside the Odeon Leicester Square. Can you imagine? You wouldn't say to a girl now, "I'll meet you outside the Odeon Leicester Square," but in those days you did. It was sort of, it was okay to meet girls outside cinema. And I was dying, thousands of fans screaming for me, and all I wanted to do was get to my date. And I had a Simca, little French car I bought. A lot of money, but it was very light. And I went out to get in it, and I got in it. I managed to get in it, but then they lifted it off the floor. The kids lifted it off the floor. I mean, it was frightening, and all the bouncers came and I finally drove away. I may have touched one of them. I don't know. I mean, it was so disastrous, but I just had to get out, and I got out. So we had roadies then, and if you were a roadie to a rock and roll star, it was a big deal. You know, they had their own dressing rooms, and they used to sit there saying, you know, I'm Billy's roadie, and so I'm Jess Conrad's roadie, and you know, they were all like big time, and their whole thing was to get us out of theatres. How are you getting Jess out tonight? Well, he said he's going to run up he's going to jump into the audience, and before they know where it is, he's going to run up the side aisle, and I'm bringing the car up into the foyer. He said, what you bring? Yeah, because it was the Granada Theatre, and you could. He drove my car. Then I had a pink and mauve Ford Zodiac or something. Very colourful car, white wheels. Anyway, my roadie drove this car up the steps of the theatre into the foyer, and I jumped into the car, and boom, 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 and he said, "That's the way I'm going." They said, "How are you getting Billy out?" I said, "Well, he's going through the gents' toilet, the window there, and then he's walking along the ledge to the next door, and we've arranged with a woman next door to let him through the window, and then I'm going to go to the front door of her house, and I'm going to meet him there." And there's all these schemes to get us out of the theatres. It was quite amazing.
It sounds incredible. It's amazing. Just a quick one, Jess. Could you possibly move your camera, because we have the sun setting behind you, and to us right now, you're just a shadow.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Oh,
nice publicist Simon there. Simon, can you fix him?
It's my favourite band, The Shadows, but I can't
Simon,
move.
don't move. Simon, just stay there.
Well, have I got to stay here? Right, okay.
Simon
There we
Withington,
go.
TV producer.
There we go, sorted.
Thank you, Simon, you utter legend. Right, on to Bryony's question now. What was your most favourite part of your career?
Part.
Yeah, the most favourite, if you had to pick a favourite part of your career.
Okay, things I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of the Boys film. I'm very proud of being the first big success in Joseph and in Godspell. And I'm very proud of a TV show I did with Herbert Long, where I played a mixed up pop star called
The Human Jungle.
It was one of the Human Jungle series.
Okay.
It was that, and of course, the biggest star in Hollywood came over and played. Carol Baker was bigger than Monroe. She was the biggest star in America. She had played a film called Baby Doll, and she came over to play opposite me in a play of the week called The Paradise Suite, and I played the bellboy. And I come up to her suite, and she seduces me, and we finish up doing the twist because the producer saw me play the dance in the twist at Tramps, the best showbiz club in London. Honorary member since 1960. They saw me there with Dana Dawes one night driving around, and they cast me in this wonderful part. So that was a big thing. Carol Baker for me, and the Boys, and Ragdoll was a good film I made. I'm pretty proud of most of the things I've done. In fact, I don't think, and I also there was a rock and roll show that didn't make it as big as Joseph and other things. It called Leave Him to Heaven, which was a great rock and roll show, and that is what it was called. The Herbert Long, wasn't it?
The Human Jungle by Danny Pace.
Danny Pace in The Human Jungle. Yeah, what was the episode called?
Flipside Man.
The Flipside Man, it was called. The Flipside Man, yeah. They're the things I've been very proud of. And I've been very proud of the fact that also I've become officer of the British Empire, OBE. They don't give them away, so I'm quite pleased about that. And when I talk like this, I think to myself, they should really call me Old Big Ed. But it is a great thing. And Royal Nice Princess, which is the princess? Anne, wasn't it?
Princess Anne, yeah.
Yeah, of course it was. Princess Anne. Yeah, of course it was. I've been talking so long. Princess Anne, she thanked me for the money I'd raised over my long and illustrious career. And I thought, God, what does that mean, illustrious? And I looked it up in the dictionary, and it's a lovely word. And then she said to me, she had a great sense of humor. She said, I hope you're not disappointed I'm not the Queen. And I said, no, Mum, as long as you're not disappointed, I'm not George Clooney. And thank God she laughed. Otherwise, I'd have been in the Tower of London. And also being King Rat of the Grand Order of Water Rats. King Rat.
Wow.
That's a great achievement. You know, King Rat's very important. The past King Rats have been Joe Pasquale, and Frankie Vaughan, and you know, lots of big stars. So it's like the Masons, and so and I'm also proud of being happily married for nearly 60 years. Yes, 58 years.
Yeah. Is it
So,
58 years happily married?
Hmm?
Is it 58 years happily married?
You're very happily married, yes.
Good.
Yeah. That's why, you know, I don't worry about lockdown. You know, we have got a great time together. You know, she's a great wife, and well, you know, she's a good cook.
Is she watching this?
This doesn't come out anywhere, does it?
No. It's just between you and me, Jess. We're fine. Right, let's get on to the next question. Roger Johnson, how did it feel to be awarded an OBE? We spoke about it there. How did it feel to you?
Oh, it's a great honour, wonderful honour. And of course, not only is it an honour, but it gives. It's a pity we haven't got a picture there. Oh yeah, there I am.
There you are.
Look the business, don't I?
Jumped up well there, aren't you, without a baseball cap?
What a good-looking boy. Look at that. What's that? 1913. When was that?
2013.
Oh, 2013. Yes, yeah, 2013. And it's great for the family. You know, I took my wife, obviously, and my two daughters, and it was a wonderful experience. And then go on to a nice restaurant afterwards, and to go through that experience, I was very proud. The sad thing, of course, is that my mum wasn't there to see it. My mum, ordinary Cockney girl, as I say, South London beauty queen. Name was Linda. She spelled it with a Y because she thought it looked posher. And she would have been so proud of me. And I often think of that at night, you know, how proud she would have been of me. God blimey, she'd say, yeah, he went to the Bleaton Palace. It would have been lovely for her. Yeah. Anything? What was it? Where am I? What am I doing?
We're on to the next question now. Jess, this is from Michelle Hyde. Aside from Joseph, what musicals that you have starred in stand out in your memory, and why?
When you are an actor and you do plays, it's not like going to work every day. So when you do things, each thing you do is like another baby. It's something else that you cherish for the rest of your life. So every musical I've done has been a baby, and you know, obviously my favorite is Joseph, because I was in that the longest, and it was very successful. And there's Godspell and My Gentleman Pip, which is a musical version of Great Expectations. And all the musicals I've done, Leaving to Heaven, and the plays I've done too. The Knack, which was, I never went off stage. I was talking all the time. Night Must Fall, the Eminem Williams play, all my different plays I did in rep. I remember sweeping the stage because I was the ASM. I swept the stage. I made the tea. I played the smallest parts, and so everything is a wonderful memory to me. Even my days managing the Showbiz football team, and I remember the people that played, the coach, me, Tommy Steele, Anthony Newley, Alfie Bass, Bernie Breslau, Mike and Bernie Winters. I mean,
Got a picture of you there.
Oh, that's the five-a-side Joseph's side. That's Joseph's five-a-side. Yeah. Pharaoh's there, the narrator's there. Yeah, yeah, five-a-side football. Yes, but I ran the Showbiz 11 football team as well. Yeah, that was good. So yeah, they're all good memories to me, and I think of them often. You know, sometimes a thought comes into my mind, or sometimes if I see an actor that I'd worked with years ago, all the memories flood back. You know, and of course I've lost so many friends just recently. It's very sad. Kenny Lynch was a dear friend of mine, and that was a great loss. Kenny and I, we were mates. We were kids. I met him when I was 14 in the West End. We went to the jazz clubs together, and I lost him just recently. And yeah, so many people. Just recently, so many too. Tim Brooke Taylor was a friend of mine. Eddie Large. Oh, Eddie, I did pantomime with Eddie. He was great. Yeah, Eddie Large. Roy Hard. Sad, sad times. I'm running out of friends. It's terrible. But yeah, so everything has memories. Sometimes they're sad, sometimes they're smiley. But I do have a lot of memories of things I've done, and it'll be difficult to get them all in the book and give them their you know, talk about them in the correct way. Thank you for the question. Made me cry.
There you go, Michelle. Thank you very much for your question. And in reflection, it goes on to our next question from Robert Snow. What in your life do you feel most grateful for?
There's no question about that. There's no question about that. It's my looks. I know it sounds vain, but if I hadn't looked as good as I did, which is to do with my mother and my father, I wouldn't be as far as I got. I mean, showbiz is about beautiful people, and you know, I was one of them. You know, I have to tell the truth. I mean, when Dinah Dawes saw me, she was sitting with the girl up in the she was sitting with Shirley Bassey.
Yeah.
And I walked in this club, and she said to Dawes, "If that doesn't turn you on, you're already dead." You know, I was such a good-looking boy, and I could also. There she is, openly. When I was in Joseph, she came to all my first nights, and the body's not bad either, is it? Pumped up there, a few pumps, yeah, and so you know, and I like the. I was sure that being in show business would be hard work, and it is hard work. It's a lot of hard work, but there's also a lot of glamour in it too, and I like that. And so yeah, so it was definitely my looks, and the fact that I didn't abuse my looks. I could have got into drugs in the 60s. Everybody was syringing their arms and putting up their noses, but I didn't want to do any of that because I thought it might age me. I tried it all, and it was all good stuff, but I thought, no, this will age me, you know, because it did age people, and so I didn't do that. I made sure I kept fit so that the public, so that I could take my shirt off. And sometimes I took my shirt off in films, wasn't even directed that way, and I remember a co-star of mine, a woman, she said to the director, "Any minute now, he's going to take his shirt off." I always felt somewhere that I could take my shirt off. Yes, no, I love the glamour, but it's also hard work. I mean, I think that you have to work on the things that are going well for you. You know, I'm 6'2", that's good as well. You know, if I was a smaller person and not so good looking, I would have to have been a much better actor. So now, because I've been good looking boy, I could get away perhaps with not being such a great actor.
There you go, Robert Snow. There's your answer. Damien Barnes now. Which celebrity was the most fun and a round of golf?
Oh, so many. Well, yeah. I mean, Kenny Lynch was great. Um, um, the Parker, yeah, Parkinson was great. Oh, we were a great double. Parkinson, Yeah, Davy Jones of the Monkeys. He came over to do. I used to put on big golf classics in Spain, and he flew all the way from Hollywood to be with me because we were both up for that. What was that called? The Monkeys. My agent sent me out for the Monkeys, but they wanted somebody with a Liverpool accent, and he got it. And yeah, Davy Jones was great fun to play golf with. The boy from Coronation Street,
Chris Quentin.
Chris Quinton, no, the other one, but Chris Quinton was good. Yeah.
Oh, Johnny Briggs.
Johnny Briggs was wonderful. He was a dear friend. I mean, most of the people. Jim Davidson's okay, but he rushes off because he's always so bloody busy on the phone. Phone keeps ringing. Yeah, you know, celebrities playing golf is a great thing. It's the only time we can really relax and all the time. Of course, we're not doing it just for pleasure. We're raising so much money for the Variety Club of Great Britain, or the Lord's Taverners, or whatever we're playing for. You know, we're always playing for a charity. So it's a wonderful thing to have a wonderful hobby and also be helping people as well.
LD Cooper now, did you ever participate in the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship in St Andrews?
Yes.
Did you win?
Yes. Yes, yes, I did. Yes. No, I don't know about I won. No, I always say I'm not a great golfer, but I'm great company. And you know, you play with guys that are golfers and they're not in show business. So afterwards at the bar and having dinner, you tell them funny stories. You know, they want to know about things in the show business and funny stories. And I keep them talk about famous women that I've played with opposite serious expression and that kind of thing. You know.
Carol Foster now, did you enjoy Last Laugh in Vegas? And is there any stories that you could tell us about it?
Well, the main story I can tell about it is that, first of all, the two stories. First of all, when we arrived, we'd been up all day. And when we arrived, I stupidly thought, oh, good. I said to Kipper, Kenny Lynch, that's his code name, Kipper. I said, Kipper, we go to bed now. And I didn't realize that it was like early, it was first thing in the morning. It was 10:30 in the morning. So we started the day there, you know, and so we did a whole day. And the other thing was, it wasn't that glamorous because we were in a big house there, as you probably know. And when we came back from a day's filming, they just closed the gate and there we were. And they'd say, what do you want for your dinner, Jess? And I'd say something. We never went out anywhere. And it was mostly pizzas. And we had a drink at night, and we had our own company. They were all friends of mine, obviously, and we had great evenings. But there was no like, hey, Vegas, you know. The only Vegas thing was getting the show on, and of course, we only had a few days to do that. And we're rehearsing the show, but we're also doing a television show. So we're going out to places. You know, I went to Liberace's place, you know, where the museum there, and I did all different things like that. And then, of course, halfway through, we had that terrible shooting, if you remember. It was awful. We could hear it. And then when we finally did go back to rehearsals, we could see the hotel where all those people were shot. And they said, you know, it's up to you. The whole of Vegas is stopped. Nobody's working. But on the other hand, we've only got 3 more days to get the show on. So it's up to you guys. You know, do you want to work or don't you want to work? And we said, well, you know, in our business, the show must go on. So we went on, and we went there the next day, and we looked over and saw the hotel. It was a bit tearful. It was a terrible time, but the show must go on, and that's what happened. It was a great experience. I loved every minute of it, and Kenny and I had some fun. I remember the first thing happened in the contract. It said that there will be somebody that there will be a chef or some. What was it? A chef. Anyway, the meals would be there for you. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so I'm sitting there the first morning at breakfast, and I said to nobody in particular, I'm sitting around. I'm the only one with a nice dressing gown, but you know, Jess. Like I told you about my career, you know, everything's got to be nice, you know, and they're all in dodgy old dressing gowns, holes in them and all that. And I come down there, oh, here he is, you know, because they all send me out. Oh, here comes Jess. And I've got this lovely dressing gown on. I'm sitting and I'm waiting and I'm looking and I said, well, I said my image should eat muesli. I said, but this morning I'm going to eggs and bacon to nobody in particular, just to, because I thought it was going to come up.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, well, you better go and cook it. Then I went, what? Do you realize who I think I am? Cook it? And they said, yeah. I said, no, there's not. So comes a time when I go into the desert to meet to make this and that, Tupi and Native Americans. I have to meet. Can't call them Indians, call them Native Americans. And I had to go there, and I had these white jeans on. I got back to the lodge, hotel, or whatever you want to call it, and they were filthy, dirty. And once again, I said, "Could you get the cleaning ladies to wash the?" And there was none. You know, so that part of the contract was all palaver, bullshit. And so Kenny said, "I'll do them for you," because he's my best mate, you know. And he said, "I'll do them for you." So, and they love that. The television people love that. That Kenny Lynch said to me, he will iron my white trousers and get them washed. They love that. Oh, really, Mr. Lynch? Oh, will you do that for Jeff? Yeah. We were mates. I've been mate all our lives. So he starts ironing my white jeans, and he said, "Listen, darling." I said, "What?" He said, "Where do you want the crease?" I said, "What do you calling me darling for?" Because he started to pretend we were a couple, you see. He said, "Well, darling," he said, I'm just asking you," he said. I said, "Well, put the bleeding crease where you always put the crease, up the middle of the trousers, you silly bugger." So what are you talking like that? You know. And anyway, they finally finished the shot, and I said to Kenny, "You bugger." But it was a funny moment.
Yeah, it was a great TV show as well, and it created so many comical moments, and it reminded us how good British talent really is.
Oh, you mean when we actually did the show? Yeah. Oh dear. They said to me, the funny producer said to me, "Can I see your wardrobe?" So I brought out this wonderful, because I have to look good, you know. But if you're not the greatest singer in the world, you've got to look good. I know that, and that's part of my persona. I mean, halfway through a song, I take out a mirror. Halfway through Johnny Be Good, the instrumental, it's a rock and roll number. And I take out this pink mirror, and I go, "Gee, Jess, you're still looking good after all these years. Botox or us?" And put it back, and it brings the house down. They love it. They love Jess sending himself up, you know. But the American producers didn't understand any of this in the rehearsal, and I didn't even have the suit on, but I showed it to him. He said, "That's a pretty natty suit." He said, "No." He said, I think I need to see you in jeans." I said, "Are you winding me up? Jeans?" He said, "Yeah, you know, jeans and a tartan shirt, like a cowboy type shirt." I said, "I'm not Roy Rogers." He tried to Roy Rogers me off, you know, he was an old cowboy star. Better tell you that. You're too young to remember. Hopalong Cassidy, another one. And I said, "No, I'm not wearing that," you know, and there was going back. But I think all that was just to wind us up a bit, because in the end I did wear my suit, and I got a standing ovation. I got a standing ovation in Vegas. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that as long as I live. A standing ovation in wonderful. Yeah.
Now we have a video of Johnny Be Good. I think we're going to bring it in now. Just have a little browse at what you did there in Vegas. See if we have a look.
No!
Yeah. Just wait for the thumbs up.
Major in the business, would you please welcome everybody?
I don't know if it's there
Jess
yet.
Conrad.
Maybe not.
Technology. Jess Conrad.
Oh no, that's in England.
Oh, is it?
That's great.
Come on, everybody, clap your hands. We're
It's
gonna
still
have a good
phenomenal,
time
isn't it?
tonight.
Performing songs like that.
We're gonna have a good time tonight. Woo! Say yeah, yeah. Woo! Say yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is it like looking in the mirror, Jess?
Say yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, great.
Let's get to work, boys.
Turbo.
Let's get to work, boys. Louisiana down to New Orleans, way up in the hills of Mount Vernon.
Phenomenal.
On all the games and
Inside.
play and work.
Fantastic.
You know, the morning is gonna be good. You know, it's always right. It's the morning is gonna be good. You know, it's always right. It's the morning is gonna be time. Let's have a ring in the bell. Let's go.
Did it bring you back some memories, that, Jess?
Yeah, I got that suit made in Carnaby Street. Well, just off Carnaby Street. He made all my cat suits. Cat suits were the thing to wear in those days. That wasn't the Vegas thing. That was done at that's the Lyceum in London. A big rock and roll show I did there years ago, back in the 60s. No, that wasn't from Vegas, but it's a good clip.
Yeah. Right, we've got 2 more questions to squeeze in before we let you go. And it comes from another member of the cast.
I'll be in bed in 5 minutes.
Me too. I've lost it off the screen. It was a question from another member of our crew who's also played. Oh, here we go. Have I got it?
Hasn't he got a bed to go to?
Clearly not. We've lost it. Never mind. So while that brings up, it was from Anthony. We'll do this one. Graham Taylor, do you think Joseph would be back when you did? Do you think Joseph would be as big back when you did it as it is now? And can you still name the colours even after all this time?
Well, it can't be. It can't be any bigger than it was then. We couldn't get off the stage. The thing went on for hours. The curtain call. It was the biggest show. I mean, we went to Blackpool for a month and we stayed there 6 months. I mean, it was the biggest hit, and it was cast correctly. I was the right age for it, and it was it's not bigger now than it was then. There was a time, strangely enough, it's an interesting question in a way, because there was a time when it wasn't a hit. When I did Jesus and Godspell, that was the hit. And they had tried Joseph in a few places, and I'd been in them, as I told you before, earlier on, and they'd gone well, but not the way they went when we did it. I mean, it was choreographed slightly differently. We up-tempoed things. It was a bit swisher and things, and it became a big hit. But and it was my idea to have a girl narrator, and I think that made a big change, strangely enough. And I think it's much better with a girl narrator, as we found out just recently, because some great star ladies have been doing it, and it really works very well. No, I think Joseph is a big one of our most successful musicals of all time. It's like West Side Story in a way. It'll go on forever.
Can you still remember the colours of the coat, Jess?
No, but I used to be able to. We used to play football. We had a five-a-side team, and we would play in the afternoon somewhere, and we'd win 5-0 or whatever it was. And I said, it was red, yellow, blue. We won 5-0, red, green. And I used to tell the orchestra and their brothers how much we'd won by the football. I probably can't. It was a long time ago now. And that was a bit of a tongue twister. Those colours. I remember. Difficult song to learn, but once I had it, I had it.
And right, so let's just squeeze in just one more question. It's from Anthony Stewart Lloyd, who is obviously part of this amazing production as well. He has said, Daddy Jacob, he's referred to himself as, When it's back to normal, could you see a part being written for you in EastEnders?
I think I would be great in EastEnders
I
because
agree.
I'm Cockney. But you see, a lot of casting directors and producers see this image that I put out of my. I mean, I got my image a bit. It was a cross between an all-in wrestler I saw called Gorgeous George when I was a kid. He got in the ring, great-looking wrestler, and he looked in the mirror, and I thought, God, that's so funny. I love that. And then in my early years, I saw Liberace. And the way he sends himself up, and I thought, God, that's lovely showbiz. I like that. So when I came along and I realized that I didn't have a voice like Elvis Presley, I put on this glamorous thing and to send myself up more. And some people get my variety persona mixed up with my acting persona. But if you actually sit down and watch my films and then see me singing Johnny Be Good, it's two different personalities. And it's getting the EastEnders people to see that different personality. But I could see myself going in there and being a smooth oldie and chatting up one of the older barmaids, perhaps, or being the father of the man, the guy who owns the Vic, or something like that. You know, a sort of come in and playing an older character and being a real smoothie, and then turning out to be a really baddie. I would love that. In fact, I'd like that to happen. I'd like that to kind of put a full stop on my career. If I could get in that for a couple of years, that would be good enough for me.
And we'd love to see it. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, Jess. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you tonight. You are an iconic showbiz legend. It's been one of the most enjoyable Q&As that I've done. Thank you for being so candid and open with us. And we cannot wait to see you in Joseph.
Tell me one thing, is the check in the post?
Yes, it's gold plated and it's got a mirror on the back for you, pal. There you go. Jess, keep yourself safe. Take care. Lovely speaking to you.
Adam. You've been great. Thanks, Adam.
You take
You've
care.
been very gentle with me. Thanks a lot. God bless you, mate.
Next time in Huddersfield, we'll have a beer. That is it from us for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. We've been asking the questions to Jess Conrad OBE. What an absolute gentleman to speak to. We'll be back with you. I don't know. We'll find out sooner rather than later. He has got so many stories, which means I've now got 1% battery left on my phone. But it was an absolute pleasure. Keep up to date on our Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter who's going to be happening in our next Q&As. And, of course, we are very close to the big performance. In the meantime, stay safe. Keep your questions and your comments coming on our platforms. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. I've been Adam Smith, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.